Let's be real. Talking about wealth and money as a Christian could feel quite taboo. I have been there, and I know when we go to churches, in fact, when you hear people asking for money, when you hear people talking about wanting more money, it could come across as being greedy, ungodly, and all of these things come to mind. But what if I tell you that wanting more and achieving wealth is not about greed, it's not being selfish, it's about creating a legacy for yourself and for your family. In today's video, I want to dive deep into kingdom wealth and what that means for us as his God's children, and how we are able to bring God's kingdom on this earth with generational wealth and impact. Let's get started. I want to share a little bit about what God has been sharing with me about kingdom wealth and about money. I've been doing so much like work, research, my own, looking at my own way of viewing money. And God has just been showing me, guys, that money is about legacy building. Money is about having the power in the hands of the right people. I want to share with you how passive income is the right way for people like us, moms, right, who are able not only to be present with our kids, but be able to help and support people around the world and create income for ourselves and for our families. I want to share with us about how our perspective about wealth needs to change as Christian believers, or we are going to stay stuck forever. We're going to stay in lack forever. And that is not what God's plan is for us. That is not what God wants for us. In fact, God says to release the spirit of poverty, right? We saw that in with the woman with the oil. We saw that with who else, right? We know that God spoke about wealth, right? In the New Testament, the Old Testament, sorry. God was all about wealth with his people, the Abraham, Isaac, right? The David, they were all men of wealth, and wealth was nothing to be scared of until, of course, we reach into the New Testament. A lot of people started to distort this whole thing that Jesus was poor and all of that, which is not true, right? God knew what he wanted to share with his people. Jesus knew what he wanted to share with his people. He literally sent Peter or one of them into the mouth of a fish to get that coin to pay the bills. So you need to be able to pay your bills, guys. God says in Psalms 23, we shall lack nothing. The Lord is our shepherd. We shall not want. Okay? He said, surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives. And we have to declare that day in and day out about our lives, or we are not going to be able to do the things that God has called us to do on this earth. And we're not going to be able to impact the people that God has called us to do on this earth if we still live in lack and this mindset that God does not want wealth. For a long time, my journey with money was very rocky. I came from a place where I saw entrepreneurship being a struggle. I came from a place where middle class was acceptable and good, which is it is good, right? Because obviously you're saving and you're like obviously like living an okay life, right? But wanting more is seen as why do you want more, right? Like that is the kind of thing that I think society puts on us. Like, why should we want more? And over time, God has just been showing me. I have been like, this relationship with money, guys, it is deep. I think a lot of us don't even realize it, right? All because it is so taboo. It's not talked about. A lot of people are not speaking about these things, and especially in a Christian society, people don't want to talk about wealth and all of these things. But this is important. These are conversation that needs to be had, and especially in the churches, because God doesn't want a few of us to be poor and a few of us to be poor, to be rich, right? God wants wealth and abundance for every single one of us. But Jesus also said in the Bible, the poor you will always have with you. So it says here that people will be poor. But why? The Bible also says because of lack of knowledge. People perish, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And I could tell you now, the way that you're viewing money, the way that you're viewing wealth, the way that you're viewing what is acceptable and like accessible for you is what is keeping you broke and stuck, and that is not God's will for you. So my journey has been really, really deep, and looking at the perspective, like how am I viewing things, how am I feeling, like guilt and shame, looking at these kind of feelings and emotions that come up for me when it comes to money, right? Letting go of the guilt. And God has just been transforming and renewing my mind and seeing wealth as his gift to us, right? Guys, I want to say this: wealth and money is not evil. It is not bad. In fact, money itself is a spiritual thing, right? Because money comes from faith. Remember, Money is a value, right? We give value, and in exchange of that value in a business, you get back money, right? That money is the value, the exchange of value. When that's why when you have a service or a product that people value, that makes life easier, it solves a problem, it helps people pay you more for that. The bigger the problem that you solve, the more money you will get paid, because that's an exchange of value. So God wants you to see that the gifts and the skills that He has given to you already is valuable. People want it. And why should you charge for it? Because you are exchanging that value for the value of money. That is simply it. A lot of people feel taboo about selling. People feel bad about selling people. Listen to me. Selling and sales is a spiritual concept. As I just shared before, it is value for value. And we need to see it in that way. That was a really big stumbling block for me as well. And I see a lot of people do that. Oh, if you're a Christian, why are you selling? Why are you making money? Because, guys, money is a spiritual thing. If let's be honest, let's be real, let's be logical. In this world, if you do not have money, you do not have anything. You will be broke. You will not be able to help anyone. You will have no power. You yourself will be in need. You will be in lack. You can't pay your bills. You need money. So the best way to get money and receive money is to get value. Value that you put out into the world. You create something that is needed, that is like desire, that people want, and in exchange you get that money. And that is exactly what we can do with our businesses, ladies. We could create our passive income stream by literally packaging the skills that we have already, putting that out into the world, putting it out in the form of value, and receive that money with love, with joy, with excitement, because that is exactly what God desires for us to have. Slowly, ladies, I started to realize that God was not against wealth. He was always for wealth, right? God says that He has given us the power to create wealth. Deuteronomy 8 and 18. I had to remind myself of that all the time. Even now, I remind myself, He has given us the power. And so the power is already in our hands, guys. We just have to activate that power to create wealth through the opportunities, through the gifts, through the skills that He has given to us. And also, as well, God has literally showed me that He does not want us. That's why our character is so important to God. We will go through journeys to strengthen us and build our faith in God, so that we could surrender to God, so that when we receive that wealth, that money, it does not own us, that we are not run by that money. We realize that the money comes from the source, which is God. God is the source. He's the provider. He's the one who takes care of us. And we need to come to that place where we know that it's not about the wealth that we have. It's about the source who bring that wealth to us. And many times God is going to take us through that breaking point where we could surrender, where we can see Him, seek Him, rely on Him, and know that He is the source. I can tell you this now. If you look at any money guru, any wealthy person, they will tell you, no matter what, if they're Christian or not, they will tell you that they had to partner with a higher power, with a higher source to create wealth. No man can create wealth on their own, because it's a spiritual thing. Wealth and abundance is a spiritual thing. Get that through your head, right? Every single person who created wealth, they have done it with a greater power, relying on faith, trusting, even if they don't want to say it's God, even if they don't want to say it's some whatever it is out there, the opposite of God, the demonic spirit, they are relying on something else. And I want you to be open to see that for yourself, that if you want to create wealth as a Christian person, you need to have a better relationship with money, you need to have a better relationship with wealth, and you need to have a better relationship with God, so that He will be the source of the one who brings it to you. This is the truth. Don't knock me down for it. This is what I've realized. This is what God has brought to my attention, and this is what I have been working through. A lot of people will not agree, and that is why you will stay broke. I'll be truthful. That is why I stayed that way for such a long time, because I refused. Honestly, in my head, I knew it logically, but in my heart, I felt like I was betraying God, to look at this wisely and be like, you know what, God, do you really want me to create wealth? I heard Deuteronomy 8 and 18 for years in my business, but I still didn't accept it. Why? Because I've been reprogrammed already from society that wealth is bad, money is evil, wanting more is bad. That belief was taking root within me. And so when I started to look at that, I started to feel guilty. I started to feel ashamed. I'm like, God, why am I feeling this way? You have to push through the discomfort, guys. If you want to go to the other side of where you are right now, you have to be willing to step out of the comfort comfortable, step out of the safety net that we have placed around us. Because on the other side, we shared about that in the last video about obedience. On the other side of your obedience, guys, is your breakthrough. Be willing to sit with God. Ask Him, Father, what is it that I need to see? What do I need to understand? Shift my belief system so that I can see wealth and money the way that you do, so I can create what you have called me to create, not just for myself, not just for my family, but for the world at large, my church, my mission. Everything that God is calling us to do requires wealth and abundance. And if He has called you to it, then it's your job and it's your duty to get behind it, understand it, and start creating it. That's what we're here to do. I want to break down for you exactly what kingdom wealth looks like in 3 points. I want to break them down first because I feel like this is something that we need to really understand and really adhere to in order to achieve the things that God has called us to achieve. So the first thing I want to say is wealth in the kingdom starts with purpose, not profit. It starts with purpose. Again, talking about value, okay? We need to create value, create purpose. We need to be in a place where we're not just looking at money for profit's sake, but we're looking at as our purpose. We're looking at we giving more impact in lives so that we can achieve the things that God has called us to achieve. God gives us ideas, guys. He gives us skills. He gives us creativity, not just to make the money, right? But to multiply what He has already placed in our hands. That's the purpose, right? In Genesis 1, it says, God says to Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply, not just with children, guys, but multiplying everything that He have given us to do, to have the gifts, the skills. That's why God called me to my cookie business. I know that now. I have every single person who takes my cookie. They're like, girl, you have so much skills, you have so much talents, you have so much gifts. And in my heart, I'm like, I just follow a recipe. But a lot of people feel like they can't do that because guess what? They're not seeing it as a purpose. They're not seeing it as like basically it's a gift. Oh, I don't even see it as a gift. I just see it as a way of me just relaxing, enjoying something that I get to do for myself and for my children and for my family, and I love doing it. And that is the purpose behind it. There's joy. You have to find purpose in your skills, in your gifts, so that you can see it in the way that God sees it. It's not just to make the money, guys, because that's why whenever you start from a place of purpose and a place of like serving, the money flows. The money flows, the money flows. That is the key, right? It says here in Matthew 25, 14 to 30, the parable of the talents, right? We know the parable of the talents where Jesus gave the master, with the gift. He gave the 5 gifts, he gave 3 gifts, and he gave 1 gift. And the person with the 1 gift went and hid his gift, right, in the sand, while the others who had the 5 and the 3 went and multiplied it. And what did the master say when he came back? He said to the one who hid the talent, you wicked servant, what did you do with the 1 gift I gave you? That is why they always say, and this is a saying and it's true, the rich will get richer and the poor will be poorer, because the rich will multiply what he has to make more wealth, when the poor will bury and hide and procrastinate and cry that they don't have enough, and that is why they're gonna stay in lack. Let that not be you. Do not be the wicked servant, ladies. Do not. I never want to be that wicked servant. God has been my prayer for such a long time. Let me multiply what you have given to me. Let me not overthink. Let me not stress. Let me just be obedient, God, and do what you have called me to do, because my job is to multiply. God will multiply it, but you have to actually take the action and take that step to do it. Point number 2, I want to share. Passive income, ladies, creates space for presence. It creates space for the presence of God. Again, I talk about this in a video about hustle culture versus God's culture, kingdom culture, right? Hustle culture, work hard, you non-stop, you do this, you do that. No, God is calling us to do work from a place of rest. That is why God in Genesis 1 rested on the 7th day. Not because he needed rest, but he wanted to show us, to be an example, that you can work, but you will need to rest. And that is why passive income is so perfect for us moms. We could be present for our families. We could be cooking, doing dinner, doing all of that, helping with homeworks, driving to ballet class and whatever, and still make money. It is so good. That's what God has called us to do, guys. Use the skill and the gifts that he has given it to you. Package it up in such a way so that you're not trading your time for money and you're able to create income while being present. Also, you get time for God. You get time to sit with God. You get time to be, you're not so busy, where you don't even have time to pray, where you don't have time to spend time in His Word. You get to have a balanced life, and that is what passive income can do for you. You get to do all of the things that God has called you to do in this world, including make money, create impact, serve Him, be present for your family. It's all there. This is how you get to be the Proverb 31 woman, guys. Passive income is the key. And it says here, that's kingdom alignment, right? When your business supports your purpose and it doesn't steal from it. This is it right there. Passive income is the key. And if you want to get started with your passive income business, digital products, put me in the comments and I'll send you more details. Point number 3, guys, legacy outlives you. Money is just a tool, guys, and money comes and money goes. But when you build a legacy for your family, that lives on, right? The impact, the generation, and that change. You change a generation for your family, right? They're no longer living in lack. They're no longer living in just enough. Your kids' kids will be able to live a legacy that you have created for them. Because one, you change your mindset around wealth and money and God, and you created the money for them, right? Your children are set up. That is the real wealth, guys. You're able to break free from all of those negative beliefs, those negative limiting thoughts that you were carrying around, and now you're able to influence your children in the right way, see wealth the way that God sees it, and teach them in the exact same way. So when you teach your kids faith, stewardship, and creativity, you're planting seeds that multiply long after you have already been gone, and that, I tell you, is the greatest wealth. Here's the scriptures that encourage us every single day with this kingdom wealth, guys. Deuteronomy 8 and 18, right? For it is Him, God, who has given us the power to create wealth, that He may establish His covenant that He has made with Abraham and all of us Abrahamic descendants. That is it. Proverb 13 and 22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. We just spoke about legacy, right? Third John 1 to 2 said, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in good health, just as your soul prospers. So God wants us to prosper, guys. Wealth is not worldly. It's when we surrender to God, when we walk in His purpose, when we're able to be obedient to what He's called us to do. It becomes the kingdom currency, a way for God's goodness to flow through us, right? Psalms 23 says, Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life, and you shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That is it, my ladies. So if you're ready to stop surviving, start building something that lasts and build a legacy for your family, comment legacy below. You'll find out more about my new membership community. You can find out more about my digital marketing business. Whatever you want to do to get started, I can support you and help you. And I want to really encourage you, ladies, get behind this right now. Ask God to give you a new mindset around wealth and abundance, because He wants you to have it and He has already given it to you. And of course, if you're praying for a way to earn without like sacrificing your time, sacrificing your family, digital marketing will be perfect for you. If you want to start from scratch, let me support you with that. Remember, guys, legacy does not fade. Money fades, but legacy remains. And God has not just called you to make an income, He's calling you to make an impact. Let me know if this video has been helpful to you. As always, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel. It was lovely speaking to you today. God bless you. See you in the next video.